was real. I would say the cry was real. Lewis Hamilton on podium, very far and few between, but Lewis is on podium. What's going on, Galactus? If you're not first, you're last. Galactus first in the live chat. That that race, Lewis Hamilton coming in P3. I think we're going to talk about some things that were similar to Canada, but different because the decisions made and outcomes were different. And I think a lot of people that play armchair quarterbacks on Monday, and a lot of people that are in the comment section that probably have never held a strategy position, an engineer position, they talk as if they know exactly what would have happened. They talk as if they're an authority in the field. They don't even have a YouTube channel. They're not content creators. They probably haven't even been to a Formula One race, but they talk as if, no, you're wrong. This is what would have happened, A, B, C, D. And they say it to a point where there's nothing left for interpretation or debate. And I would tell those people that are in my comment section that say this to suck off, okay? Because today we watched tire strategies go different, although different compounds, and the outcome play out different. So for people to say that there is no way this would have happened, you're wrong. You don't know. You don't know because you've never held a job. You don't know because you don't spend your week in and week out developing content, studying a bunch of stuff. You just talking out your ass, hoping that we think that you feel like you know exactly what you're talking about when we submit. Paul says, what up, fam? Happy Sunday. Let's go, Lewis. Peace and love. Lewis Hamilton on podium. Now, I'm going to say this. I'm going to give Russell some credit for the start of the race. I'm going to give him some credit for the start of the race. Because I got to say, that start and that multi-car overtake, I got to say that was tough. That was pretty cool. That was pretty like, damn. That overtake by Russell at the start of the race was phenomenal. I'm going to give Russell credit when it comes to that. That was nice, okay? But we also saw Lewis Hamilton showing his racecraft side by side with crybaby Carlos was tough too. That was tough too, okay? We're going to say that right now. So as we get into some of that, big shout out Lewis Hamilton sitting on the podium. All right, getting a hug from George Russell as he's bypassing by. Lewis Hamilton on podium. Lando Norris on podium. Max Verstappen with the win, but let's not be fooled. I know when we talked about coming into this race, we were going to be trying to weigh the validity of if these teams are legitimately closing the gap to Red Bull. Is Red Bull's dominance starting to be whittled down? And although I would say that we didn't see exactly what we may have thought we'd picture, which was Lando Norris on podium for the win, or Charles Leclerc from Ferrari on podium for the win, I'm going to say we still got evidence, and unequivocally, yes, that these teams are more competitive and the dominance of Red Bull is starting to move a scotch down. I'm going to say yes. We watched Lando Norris several seconds out, more than 4 seconds out, whittle that gap down by the end of the race, abusing his tires to put the pressure on Max. 2 seconds. Those days of 19, 20, 15 seconds gaps to Red Bull and Max Verstappen winning a race are not existing anymore. It's not happening anymore, in my opinion. Wildcat in the live chat says, what do you got, Wildcat? Let me see what you got. Wildcat says, good day, fam. Now that's how Merck's supposed to respond. Still we rise. Love seeing the hard racing and tough overtakes. This is what racing looks like. I would agree, bro. I would agree. This is the type of racing that we want to see. And it's not over. It's not over. We still are in form and shape to see more of this next year. Okay? This diminishing of the dominance of Red Bull is not an imagination. This is not sandbagging. Don't be like several Mercedes fans back in 2022 when they launched the W13 and they said Mercedes is sandbagging. We get through training, we get through testing, Mercedes is still sandbagging. A few laps into the race, Mercedes is still sandbagging. Do not be fooled. This of what you're seeing from Red Bull is not sandbagging. This is not Red Bull playing around with the competition. This is Red Bull under legitimate pressure from competing teams, and the dominance is starting to drop in temperature. I'm not saying that Red Bull can't change something and regain their dominance, but I am saying right now in reality, it is a fact, and we have seen it throughout the course of several races. Do not try to tell me that what you are seeing from Red Bull in the last few races of Max Verstappen not being on podium altogether, not winning races altogether, is him and Red Bull playing with the competition. That is you being under the figment of your imagination, and you are fooling yourself like Mercedes fans did 2 years ago. Don't do it. It's not real. You're going to set yourself up for failure. Galactica says McLaren just as fast as Red Bull within 1 second, I think. Tori tackling, what's up? Lando's downfall was him saying out too long on the mediums. I agree. I do agree. Again, we see a falter here with Lando. I do applaud Lando for taking a lot of the decisions into his hand and making those calls. But what I also have realized, a lot of times Lando comes back and he's panicked because then he realizes, I really don't know what the hell I was doing. I really don't know what I was thinking. Help me. But I give Lando credit again for asking for that help, because only a fool would sit there knowing I've made a mistake, I really don't know what I was thinking, and then not say to a team that is paid day in and day out to develop strategy and to assist you to ask for help. Lando asked for help. He realized he may have made a mistake, and I credit him for doing so. Derwin Hill says, I think Lando drove well, but I wish he stopped Thank you, Derwin. For real, bro. Overextending his stints. The longer a stay out, old tires, the cost of him. And let's be real, Derwin. This is not the first time we've seen this. Within the last 3 races, we've watched Lando and McLaren overextend their stay, and it cost them at the end of the race. I completely agree. Lewis Hamilton right now giving his talk, his debrief. Yadu Walker says McLaren lost the race simple because they didn't box with Red. Thank you, man. I said to myself, when Red Bull boxes, McLaren should box too. We're talking about less than 6 seconds between them if they do that, if they box together. Got to go back and watch how far the gap was. But I think had they boxed along the same time, that would have been the better strategy, okay? Didn't box with Red Bull knowing they have better race pace than Max. They bottled it up. I agree, Yadu. Mercedes, mechanic. What's going on? Mechanic Mercedes, what's the deal? Hey, we still got to put it up. The Mercedes win counter is still 0 right now, but Lewis Hamilton being on podium is a plus. Mechanic says Lando had a bad start. Lando did also start bad. Mechanic Mercedes, that is true. But I will say this. He started bad, but I also will give him credit for holding on how he could, just not long. But that overtake from George Russell, I think that kind of screwed everybody's mind up. I don't think any of them saw that coming. George came out of nowhere like a bat out of hell, and I got to applaud him for that race start. George's race start was phenomenal. I'm glad the rain held off. We could have probably seen a different race had it not, but I'm glad it held off, because when the rain comes in, we got a bunch of attributes and implementations that they mess with the results of the race. Today, we got to see, are these teams legitimately close? And they are. Jesse James Bell in the super chat says, so sick of F1 game show. What's up, Jay and the crew? What's up, Jesse James Bell? Don't get too sick. I think things are on the up. On the horizon is a Formula One season that is going to come into play, where this is going to be a weekend that we don't know who's going to win. So just hold tight, brother. Keep holding. Don't let go. Derwin Hill, How about Lando pushing Max in the grass? Let's talk about it, brother. Let's talk about it. Because you know I got the files, right? You know that I got the files. Let's talk about it. Let's do that. So let's talk about this moment right here. I got it pictured. And we're going to pause it here. Okay, we're going to pause it right here. How about Lando pushing Max in the grass? I absolutely loved it. And you want to know why I absolutely loved it? Because Max got a taste of his own damn medicine. Max got a taste of his own medicine. And this is why I say that. How absolutely dare Max Verstappen complain and cry on the radio about getting pushed over? And this is why I say that, Max, because that's what you do. But you know what, Max? You can dish it, but you can't take it. And this is what we know about Max Verstappen. He can dish it, but he cannot take it. He is a frail-minded individual that Red Bull has cuddled and they try to keep protected. And I'm going to show you why Max Verstappen is a big-ass hypocrite. I'm going to show you why he's a hypocrite. Does anybody remember this? Max Verstappen pushing Charles Leclerc down near into the parking lot. Does anybody remember that? But yet Max wants to come on here and cry about a little grass push? Are you shitting me, Max? Don't say nothing. Just keep quiet. Keep quiet. Because you've done your fair share, even more, of pushing drivers off track, pushing drivers into the grass, and damn near pushing drivers into the parking lot. If you didn't see it, I'm going to show it to you again. That's Max Verstappen pushing Charles Leclerc damn near into the parking lot. What are we talking about, Max? Don't cry. Do not cry to us about that. Let's go to the next one. Paul says, yes, Jay, McLaren needs to respond quicker. Brother, I completely agree. I think the results would agree too. I think the results that we've seen from McLaren making these delayed decisions would agree with us all in the chat. Mechanic Mercedes says strategy won the race today. Strategy did win the race. Red Bull were better at the strategy. They made calls exactly when it needed to be. The engineer told Max, listen, this is our best opportunity. Make it happen now. Max followed the directions, and it paid off for Red Bull. It paid off. Galactus says, Merc pit stop, still too slow. Get to work, Merc. You know what I got to say about that, Galactus? What the hell is David Coulthard, the Red Bull whore, talking about? He said on national TV, worldwide stream, that Mercedes is known for their slick pit stops and servicing the car. Where in the hell have you been? Mercedes has been horrible at pit stops. They've been too long in pit stops. They fumbled up strategies, and they fumbled up car pit stops. What are you talking about, David Coulthard? I don't even want to call you DC, because DC is too cool of an initial for you to have saying that gibberish on TV. Mercedes has not been good at servicing cars, nor have they been good at developing cars, nor have they been good at making cars. Mercedes has been absolute rubbish at making cars, developing cars, tuning cars, and pit stop strategies are in the trash. DC, shut the hell up. Just shut up with that, man. What are we talking about? Matter of fact, DC, let's just go in a bit more. Could we just go in a bit more on David Coulthard, the Red Bull whore? Could we just do that? Just a tad, if I may. Because I gotta say, David Coulthard, if I had to say, have you ever been a world champion? No. Have you been close? Second. You've never been a world champion, okay? You got 12 pole positions to your name. You got 62 podiums. I'll credit you with that. Okay? You got that. David Coulthard, when David Coulthard talks from a driver's perspective, it is not that of a champion. When David Coulthard talks from a driver's perspective, it is not that of one who is completely used to winning races. Do you understand that? I'm telling you right now, David Coulthard, do not try to tell us you by far, there are many other people that talk on TV and have less accomplishments than you. I will give you that. I'll give you that. But you got 13 race wins to your name, bro. 13 race wins, and you've been involved in 247 races, 246 Grand Prix, and you got 13 race wins to your name. That's what the stats say. That's just what the stats say. Don't shoot the messenger. By the way, let's get down into it. The mechanic Mercedes, this round had the best overtakes. Yo, this round of racing absolutely did have some exhilarating overtakes. Lewis Hamilton and George Russell being the two of them. Maria Maduncan says, great to see Lewis Hamilton on podium. That email did its job. Merck afraid to screw up Lewis Hamilton because fans know keeping an eye on them now. Yeah, I always feel like somebody's watching me. Yeah, they know. They know we watching you. We see the shenanigans. We see what you doing, Mercedes. It don't look good. No. Mutombo, I got to block it so. Maria Duncan, you ain't lying. How is it that this email comes out and all of a sudden things look a little bit better? How is it that the email comes out all of a sudden, okay, we're going to do these tire strategies right? What's up with that? Mercedes, there is a way to go out and there's a way to go out bad. And right now you going out bad. You look horrible with what you've been doing. Toto Wolff, you look ridiculously shameful with what you've been saying. George Russell, you look horrible with all the damn crying. The radio message says it for itself. Can we review the radio message, please? Bring up George Russell's radio message after he realizes that the great GOAT Lewis Hamilton got P3. This is George Russell. What was that Lewis doing? Prepping that lap. Well, George Russell, I know you are a professional race car driver. Let me tell you what George Lewis was doing. Lewis Hamilton was doing. He was going for damn P3. That's what he was doing. That's exactly what he was doing. What you would do if the roles were reversed. That's what he was doing. The only thing he wasn't doing this time is worried about your crying ass and about trying to make sure you look good on track. He wasn't worried about you, and he shouldn't be. So can you please stop the cry? Can you stop crying? Good God Almighty. We had Crybaby Central today. Carlos, can you stop crying? You crying about tough driving with Lewis Hamilton. You crying about all types of shit today. Carlos, you sound like you're crying even when you're not crying. So when you are crying, it's cringeworthy. Carlos, stop being a Carlos crybaby. We're going to start calling you CC. Carlos cry. Carlos cry. Carlos cried too damn much this race. Crying about Lewis. Crying about, he just cry. Shut up. Stop crying all the damn time. Oh my gosh, Carlos been crying. And when he cries, just cringe-worthy. Racer X210 says, Serge, go Hamilton on podium. Awesome to see. Russell is going to flop when Hamilton's gone because now the pressure will be multiplied on Russell. You know what I say? Pressure does two things. It's going to bust pipes or it's going to make diamonds. What is Russell going to be? We going to see. We will see Racer X210 what he's going to be. Derwin Hill say, I say Logan the donkey of the day. Logan Sargeant is indefinitely donkey of the day, bro. He indefinitely donkey of the day. I'm just going to keep it real with you. If we look right here, Logan Sargeant, and this is what I'm going to say. This is why I'm going to double down on why Logan Sargeant is donkey of the day. Albon started in the pits. He started in the pits. How in the hell, Logan Sargeant, does Albon start in the pit lane, bro, and still pass you? He still passed you, bro. What is that lad? Listen, Logan Sargeant, you are cooked. You are done. You are absolutely over with. Albon started in his garage at home, out of his bed, woke up late, got dressed, came to the track, got dressed to race, hopped in the car, scooted into pit lane, and still passed your ass. It's a sad day for Americans. Sad day. Oh my gosh, Logan Sargeant, you so damn through, bro. You are so through. I don't care that Albon only finished 2 places in front of you. He started in the pit lane, bro. And he ran off the road. And Albon ran off the road, might I ask. He ran off the road. Kitty little corner. Logan Sargeant is trash. I don't like to even say that about athletes, but he is trash in Formula One. I don't know what's going to happen if he goes to Indy next. I don't know what's going to happen if he goes to NASCAR. I don't know what's going to happen if he start kart racing at my daughter's kart racing association. I don't know what's going to happen there. But he's trash in Formula One. Absolutely garbage. DG Big Blue Navy Ura said number 63 is still cooking his tires and 44 cooking him and doing him up. I'm going to add to that. I'm going to add to that. We saw it. Let's also talk right here. Alonso, while having a rough day, still manages to outdo Stroll. I mean, is anybody at Aston Martin getting tired of seeing this? Is anybody at Aston Martin getting absolutely tired of being held back by a driver in Lance Stroll? Is there anybody that's tired of this yet? Because this is what you're getting. Is there a petition going around Aston Martin right now to boycott the drive of Lance Stroll, to boycott the ownership and the boss status of Lawrence Stroll? Because y'all are getting absolutely cheated. Big Paul says had to kill George Russell getting past Lewis. Hey, man, let me tell you something. I was absolutely ecstatic when Lewis Hamilton goes into the pits, gets soft compound tires, and I watch him overtake George Russell on track. I was like, that was relieving. George Russell, brother, I hope that your shoulders are broad. I hope that your heart is strong. I hope that your mind is of that of an ironclad battleship, because next season is all on you. Next season, George Russell, is all on you. We are going to see if you are what you think you are. We are going to see if your shoulders have been doing enough overhead presses to hold the weight of Mercedes as the number uno driver. That's what we going to see. Numero uno. Number one umbrella. We going to see if that's you, bro. This cat Rock says George almost screwed Lewis' race by not moving over. Listen, Cat, we know George Russell a hater, bro. George Russell's a hating bro. I'm not calling you a bro. I'm calling George Russell is a hating bro. We know this. He was taking teamwork until it stopped benefiting him. That's all the time, right? All the time. George Russell is a team player till it ain't about him. Then he's all about one person only. Gabriel Sanchez, what's up? Aston has the donkey of the season. Alonso crying. Alonso do cry too. Is the Spaniards were on their cry box today? Would I say not? It must have been the Spaniard cry day. It must be National Cry Day in Spain. And that's why Carlos Alonso was crying their ass off. George Russell must be a accepted citizen of Spain because he was crying too. Big shout out to your 20th super chat also, Gabriel. Derwin Hill says, what happened to my bro Yuki? Not like him to be in the back. You know what? Let's address that. Yuki definitely had some type of odd day. I did not expect that, but I will say this. I'm going to have to be fair, keep the same energy. Credit to Daniel Ricciardo for outperforming Yuki. I don't know if there are any underlying circumstances there. I don't know if there are any variables that may have contributed to the lack of performance from Yuki. But what I will say is this. Daniel Ricciardo wrote words of positive motivation on the back of his helmet, and he performed ahead of Yuki. Still in the bottom 5. In the top 15, at least barely. But I'm not going to add this and say Daniel Ricciardo has arrived. That ain't the case. He ain't arrived. He did better than Yuki, but Yuki's been outperforming him all season. So I need to see more than that, okay, when it comes to Danny Rick. Also, let's talk about K-Mag sitting at 17th. K-Mag with another 5-second penalty. K-Mag's been racking up these penalties. I'm just trying to see, when is this race ban going to kick in? Is is K-Mag going to actually get a race ban this season, or is Formula One, the FIA, going to find a way to just make sure he doesn't get one? K-Mag has not been what I would have hoped he would be as the leader of Haas. I don't even know if they feel comfortable keeping K-Mag, but they might have to. They might have to keep K-Mag because Nico got a contract. He up out of there. Nico has shown some improved performance from last year to this year, and he got a contract. He's going to be driving with Audi, so they're going to have to do something. But I don't know if them doing something means we're going to replace both of these seats, or we're just going to do one. Also, I would like to say Alex Albon had a bit of a moment on track where he seemed really pissed off, and I didn't really get to see what happened. I don't know if anybody can let me know what happened in the chat, but Albon was upset. He didn't want to hear anything about what they were saying on the radio. He was talking about, oh, no, don't say that. Albon was not happy about whatever took place on track. I caught the tail end of it as I was trying to get set up for the live and make some notes, but he didn't seem happy, and I don't know what transpired. Okay, I think it may have been something with the setup. Love your mild tone. Regards from Norway. Yo, what's going on? Norway in the house. Big shout out to Norway. I think that's the first time we had somebody from Norway checking in. Much appreciated. What's up, Norway? How you doing from Wolfpack and the fam? Paul says, smash the like and subscribe. Help the channel. Big shout out also. The kart racing merch is below. Those proceeds still go to supporting her karting season. Check out Purple Sector's merch, Purple Sector hats, but check out Butterfly Racing merch. Support a young Carter. Big shout out to everybody who has already done that. Like I said, that money was exhausted. A $2,000 racing weekend we just came off of 2 races ago. So a big shout out to everybody to help with that. Big shout out to people that do super chats and say for the lunch. Food costs extra. I appreciate you all. Peace and love. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to have family members like you. All right, so let's get into this next. Let's get into the next driver. Let's talk about Alpine. Alpine, top 10, 9 and 10 finish. So both cars in the points. I'm going to say that's a successful weekend for Alpine, given their circumstances, giving the perspective. Keep in mind, Alpine, Rossi out, Otmar out. Alpine, engineering and development trash. Alpine, 2 drivers that can't get along, have already wrecked each other off track last year and this year. Alpine is struggling. I'm going to give Alpine some kudos for putting 2 cars in the points. Albon, upset about it, but Ocon and Gasly, big shout out to you. Big shout out to you. All right, 9 and 10. Gasly leading Ocon right there. Ocon's going to be departing from the team next season. But salute to Alpine for actually putting 2 drivers in the points. Also, Charles Leclerc, not happy. Okay, let's take a look at this radio message from Charles Leclerc right here. As we see, Charles Leclerc right here. Why are we on plan A? Uh-oh. Oh my gosh, people. Are we starting to revert back to the mean? We are in line with everyone else. That was the choice. Here it is. Events back to back. Ferrari have not looked well. Here it is again, arising. Plans and strategies are being questioned. Not agreed upon by the driver. The pit wall thinking they know what's best. Here it is again. Is Ferrari starting to unravel? Are they starting to lose the bead? Do we need to be concerned that Ferrari being the landing spot for Lewis Hamilton in 2025 may not be as powerful as we think it could be? Is Ferrari still the fumbling Formula One team on the grid? It didn't look good today. It did not look good today. Ferrari finishing 5th and 6th, taking the place of Mercedes pretty much. Ferrari taking the place of where we are accustomed to seeing Mercedes finish these races. This is not a good indication if it is a continuing indication of what Ferrari is going to be by the end of the season. If they start the end of this season if they end at the end of this season in a deficit, that is more of a hole that we have to watch them crawl out of in 2025. That same hole Lewis Hamilton will have jumped into with Ferrari. Is Lewis Hamilton's effect powerful enough to let Ferrari unlock their potential? I don't know right now. Ferrari, what they have going on seems a bit strong for any driver to come in and be impactful in the first season. But if anybody could do it, I trust in Sir Lewis Hamilton to be the one to do it. I'll say that. By the way, we are going to have Wolves Den right after I get off of here live, which is not now. We still got a lot to talk about. But right after I get off here live, we are going to go automatically into Wolves Den for at least an hour, and then I will have to go with the family for park and walk day. Okay, we're going to have ice cream, going to the park. We're going to walk around, spend some family time. But I'm going to spend an hour with the Wolfpack fam after this, talking about the race, hearing what you have to say, wanting to know your feelings about the race, feeling how you feel that team should have done it better. That's what I want to know. But right now, we still got some stuff to talk about. So let's talk about McLaren. Again, okay, we talked about McLaren before, and then we're going to talk about Mercedes. We're going to cap it off with Red Bull. Let's talk about McLaren. A bit of a gap, two-team gap between McLaren. Lando and Piastri both having Mercedes in totality, Ferrari in totality between the drivers. But I will say this, Piastri was doing a good job driving. He was doing a good job driving. He just started so far back in a deficit. It's going to be hard to overcome those competitive drivers and teams. Let's not fool ourselves. Sainz, Carlos, although Carlos Cry is a very competitive and hard driver. Charles Leclerc, competitive and hard driver. George Russell showed us today how competitive and hard drive he can, although he showed us his crybaby side as well. Lewis Hamilton, it doesn't even matter about getting up there because he wasn't close enough. But I think we've talked about it, and I think it's true that McLaren need to adjust their reaction. They're reacting too late, and they're not doing the best they can do in that moment, as Red Bull showed us that you have to do. Red Bull made split decisions and split choices right on the fly, and it paid off. The gap was not great between Lando and Verstappen at the end, but that small margin of gap came in the large ability to make decisions and to stick to them and to make them happen. That's where the difference came in, okay? Had McLaren reacted sooner, had McLaren been proactive instead of reactive, I think we see maybe, possibly, Lando race win. Maybe. At least a battle at the end of the race where it was very inviting. I'll say that. Mercedes. I mean, what can I say? For a moment there, it almost looked like Mercedes might have a double podium. For a moment. But that didn't last long. Sir Lewis Hamilton, hammer time. I think I can say we finally saw a legitimate hammer time today from Lewis Hamilton. A legitimate hammer time. Came out on soft compound tires. Many of us feel that should have been the choice in Canada. A lot of people thinking they know better said not. But I would differ and say, what would have happened in Canada had Sir Lewis Hamilton took the soft tires? Look what happened today. I know. Not C3 versus C5. I know. Repaved tarmac versus track going in. I know. Temperature track different. I know all that. But can't help to see, but Russell was on hards. It didn't work out. Lewis Hamilton on softs. He came back and it worked out. And they lasted for the laps that I think it would have lasted for in Canada. So I would say to people who told me I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, you don't know what the hell you talking about. Maybe we all don't know what the hell we're talking about. I don't got a race engineering job. I'm not a Formula One strategist. You're not a Formula One strategist. You don't have a Formula One race engineering job. So guess what? Touche, we meet in the middle. Oh, well, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. It's just that some opinions proved a bit better than others. And I think my opinion from last week, this week has been proven better than yours. The mechanic Mercedes says McLaren had a bad pit stop for Lando. And you know what? That's not average for McLaren. We know McLaren are far better at their pit stops. They hold the record at 1.8 seconds. So I'm not going to hold them too shameful for every now and then. They can't be 100% correct all the time. There's going to be moments. But I'm telling you right now, I'm going to take McLaren's pit stops over anybody's pit stops any day of the week. And the next team I'll take is Red Bull. I'm going to take those faults that might happen every now and then with McLaren because I don't think it's going to happen often. I don't. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about our final and last team right here, Red Bull. Red Bull, Red Bull, Red Bull. And when I say Red Bull, I'm saying this right now. Perez low in the points. Perez is low in the points. And I told you all this when we was doing quali, that Red Bull is going to be under attack for the Constructors' Championship because Perez is not contributing much since he's got his contract. The only thing that Perez contributes to Red Bull that they absolutely love, and the reason why they'll keep retaining him, is that he's a yes man, he gets disrespected, and he doesn't stand up for himself, and he is okay with being the number 2 or less driver. Perez has proven to us through action that he is okay with being lesser than. He is okay with being respected less. That's what we got. That is what we got from Perez, okay? Right now, the gap is closing. The gap is closing in the Constructor Championship. We're going to see what's going to happen, but the gap is closing. So other than that, I told you that Sauber Kick F1 was going to become a team that is going to be pretty much non-existent, and that's what they're becoming. They're pretty much becoming non-existent. So, hey, everybody, it is time for the Wolfpack Discord party. We are getting ready to go into the Discord. I posted the join the link. Spider35 said, this is the season we've been asking for 2 years now. I will agree with you, brother. It is that. It is exactly that. It is time for us to go to Wolves Den. Everybody, if you don't know where to go, it's because you can't get there. Become a member of the channel. Subscribe, but join the channel. Get into the Discord after you get a membership and give us your take. Let us know how you feeling about the races. Gabriel Sanchez said Merck putting Russell on hards was a love note to Hamilton. Russell knew they didn't put a lot of time and practice on him. That's true. A love note to Hamilton, like, dear Lewis Hamilton, we're sorry for the mistakes we've made. We're sorry for being Max Verstappen ball huggers. Can you ever forgive us? P.S. Love Mercedes. Wildcat says, I'm seeing deja vu with this season. Deja vu how? I hope you're not talking about 2021 vibes, because that we're far from that. Far from that. But we're going to see what happens. Deja vu, you know what they say. Cover your eyes. We might be getting ready to witness a murder. With that being said, Jay from Wolfpack, get in the Discord. It's Wolfpack Wolves Den party time. Peace. I'm out.